I worked the night shift as a school custodian for almost 10 years, across 3 different schools. People always said the job was easy. Quiet, peaceful, nothing happens at night, they'd say. But buildings feel different when they're empty, schools especially. During the day, they're full of noise, kids laughing, lockers slamming, teachers shouting over the chaos. At night, all of that disappears. What's left feels wrong. Like the building remembers everything that happened there and doesn't like being alone with you. My first school was an old middle school built in the 1950s. I worked from 10 p.m. until sunrise. At first, I liked it. No kids, no teachers. Just me, my cart, and the hum of fluorescent lights. But over time, I noticed the school didn't just get quiet at night, it felt dead. The walls creaked like bones. Pipes knocked in patterns that sounded almost intentional. Lockers would pop open on their own. You learn to ignore most of it because if you don't, you won't last long. The worst place in that school was the basement. It ran under half the building and looked nothing like the classrooms upstairs. Bare concrete walls, narrow hallways, low ceilings with pipes hanging down like veins. Some rooms were filled with broken desks, others with outdated textbooks or old science equipment. The air was damp, heavy, and always smelled like mold and rust. One of the older custodians told me during my first week, "Avoid the basement unless you have to." He laughed and said it was haunted. I laughed too, but I avoided it. 2 years into the job, my task list included bringing folding chairs up from the basement for an event. I stood at the stairwell door for a full minute, debating whether to ignore it. I didn't want to look lazy, so I grabbed my flashlight and went down. Only a few lights worked. The rest of the hallway was swallowed by darkness. The sound of my boots echoed like I was walking in a tunnel. I found the storage room, grabbed a stack of chairs, and that's when I heard it. A soft, dragging sound. Like someone slowly sliding a shoe across concrete. I froze, held my breath. The sound stopped. I told myself it was pipes, or rats, or my imagination. I carried the chairs toward the stairs and felt a sudden blast of freezing air against my face. The basement was always warm, always stale. This felt like standing in front of an open freezer. When I went back for more chairs, the stacks looked different, shifted, like someone had touched them. Then I heard a thump, followed by scraping. Down the hallway, a classroom door that had been closed was now cracked open. I knew I hadn't touched it. I checked the room, empty, dust, cobwebs, nothing else. But as I turned away, I heard the dragging sound again, this time behind me. I didn't run. I backed away slowly, heart pounding, flashlight shaking. I grabbed the chairs and ran up the stairs, locking the basement door behind me. A week later, while mopping above that stairwell, I heard 3 loud bangs from below. Then the door rattled like someone was pushing it from the other side. I never went down there alone again. The second school was a massive high school. 4 floors, 2 gyms, endless hallways. I was the newest custodian, which meant overnight shifts, usually alone. One night I was cleaning the 3rd floor. That floor was mostly unused classrooms, locked doors, old furniture, dead silence. I noticed a classroom door open that I knew I had locked earlier. Inside, a box had been dragged across the floor. I closed the door. Later, it was open again. The box was now in the center of the room. When I leaned inside and whispered, "Hello?" I heard slow, deep breathing. Not wind, not pipes. Breathing. I ran. My supervisor came later. We checked the room together. Nothing. No one. He told me I was tired. Weeks later, another custodian told me a student once hid overnight in that same room as a prank years ago. That explanation made sense, but it didn't explain the breathing. And it didn't explain why I felt watched every time I passed that hallway. The last school was the worst. An old high school auditorium, 3 levels of seating, heavy curtains, a massive stage. Sound echoed in ways that messed with your head. At night, even with the lights on, shadows clung to corners that shouldn't have been dark. I always cleaned it last. One winter night, I had to clean it early. As I swept the aisles, I heard footsteps on the stage. Slow. Heavy. I checked. Nothing there. Later, while mopping, I saw a shadow move across the balcony seats. Then I heard whispering. I couldn't understand the words until I heard my name. Soft. Clear. Right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. But I could hear footsteps pacing above me in the balcony. I ran out and never went back in alone. Later, I learned a drama teacher had died on that stage years ago during rehearsal. Heart attack. People said they still heard footsteps and whispers at night. I quit not long after. To this day, I don't.